Welcome to the deep dive. Forget scrolling endlessly, feeling overwhelmed by info. We've done the hard part for you. We've plunged into this really fascinating collection of ideas about, building businesses, making money right now. Think of this as your shortcut to getting properly informed about what's actually working without all the noise. We sifted through a ton of stuff to pull out the strategies that, well, genuinely stand out.
Exactly. We've got some pretty dynamic examples lined up. Stuff like startup successes that kind of came from nowhere, really clever side hustles, and some marketing tactics that honestly maybe do a double take. Our mission today is simple. Find the most useful, the most immediate, maybe even counterintuitive strategies for you. Things about building wealth, understanding how modern business actually operates. We're looking for those aha moments you can actually take away and use.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of counterintuitive, what about this? Could a deliberately unprofessional looking button actually get you more sales? Or what if the best way to launch something is to check if people will buy it before you even really make it?
Right. Or maybe generating real income from something you didn't personally invent.
Exactly. These aren't just theories, they're real claims we found in the material. So let's get into it. Let's unpack this. First up, a story that really jumped out at me. Boring socks. I mean, socks. They're pretty basic, right?
Totally basic. Everyone needs them, but you don't exactly think innovation hotbed. But get this, 2023, 2 college dropouts apparently build this sock business. Hits $1 million in 6 months.
Wow. 6 months?
Yeah. It's a great example of how a simple idea, just with a few smart twists, can properly take off.
Okay, so what was the twist? What made Boring Socks different from, every other sock company?
Okay, so their core thing, the really clever bit, selling mismatched socks.
Mismatched. On purpose.
On purpose. Think about inventory. If you sell pairs as singles, right, you instantly cut your stock keeping units, your potential inventory headaches, basically in half.
Huh. Okay, that's actually pretty smart. Turning a constraint into an advantage.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, what else that seems fixed in a business could you just flip around like that?
Interesting point. Okay, but how did they market them? You'd think socks, you market comfort, fashion.
Yeah, no, their marketing was, well, weird. They paid micro-influencers $5 a sock.
$5? To do what?
To post their hashtag boring socks fails. Like pictures of them wearing the socks badly or whatever.
Wait, fails, not perfect aspirational photos.
Nope, failures. It's totally counterintuitive, isn't it? Instead of pretending to be cool, they leaned into the boring name with humor. It generated buzz precisely because it was imperfect and relatable.
But wouldn't that confuse people? Are they good socks or not? And who wants mismatched socks anyway?
That's a fair point. It seems like it tapped into maybe a desire for, I don't know, a bit of fun, individuality, and something super everyday. And maybe, big picture, it's about that authenticity thing people crave online, even if it's, strategically authentic.
Right, the realness factor.
Yeah, something that feels unpolished stands out. And then there's the scaling secret, super important, automation. They use Printful for fulfillment, automated.
So like drop shipping.
Pretty much. Orders come in, Printful prints and ships. Boring Socks only pays when a sale is made. That massively cuts the upfront risk. No warehouse full of socks they might not sell.
Okay, but here's the bit I think is really key for anyone listening who wants to start something. They validated the whole idea first. Sold 500 pairs on Reddit.
Yeah.
Before building the fancy website or anything.
Yes, that's the crucial lesson. The no BS playbook, like you said.
Yeah.
Don't sink your life savings into something. Test it first. See if anyone actually wants it with minimal cash down.
So the question for you listening is, how are you validating your ideas? Are you going all in before you know there's real interest? This boring socks thing shows maybe lean and agile is the way.
Absolutely. Which actually transitions nicely. Another way to minimize investment is using new tech. Specifically, let's talk about AI for generating income.
Yeah, this next one caught my eye too. Side hustles using artificial intelligence. We've got this example, Sarah Kay, a teacher, apparently making decent passive income. Almost sounds a bit too good to be true.
Well, what's interesting is how accessible the tools are now. Sarah's using ChatGPT, the text AI, to actually write the stories for children's books.
Okay.
And then Mid-Journey and Image AI to create the illustrations. And she puts it all together using Canva, which is super user-friendly. These aren't some complicated corporate tools. Anyone can pretty much try them.
And the strategy, focusing on really specific niches. That seems important. Not just kids' books, but the llama who loved algebra.
Exactly. Hyper-specific.
That's so niche. But I guess it makes sense. It'll really hit home with a small, dedicated group rather than getting lost in the crowd.
Precisely. Find your unique angle and the money side. Amazon KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing. She earns maybe $12 a book, roughly, and holds zero inventory.
Ah, print on demand again?
Yep. Someone buys it, Amazon prints it, ships it, Sarah gets a cut. The barrier to entry is incredibly low.
And there was that tip in the source material about validating these niche ideas, testing them in Facebook mom groups.
Oh yeah, get this. Apparently, if people in the group complain your idea is too expensive, that's actually a good sign.
Wait, complaining about the price is good?
Seems so. It suggests they're actually interested enough to have an opinion on the price. There's underlying demand there. It flips the script on just looking for positive feedback, doesn't it?
Huh. Never thought of it that way. Price complaints mean they care.
Right. And the big appeal here, obviously, is the passive income potential. Make the book once, upload it. It could keep earning money with very little ongoing work.
Okay, so we've got simple products with clever twists, AI unlocking income streams. Now for something completely different, a marketing tactic that honestly sounds like a prank, but apparently worked incredibly well. We're calling it the ugly button phenomenon.
All right, this is where understanding online psychology gets weird and interesting. So there's this e-commerce store.
Yeah.
They wanted to sell more stuff, obviously. Looked at their buy now button. Standard design, looked professional. Converting at 2.1%. Which, okay, respectable.
And then they thought, let's make it look terrible. They swapped it for this pixelated kind of ugly button that literally said, all caps, click here, we need the money.
Yep. That exact phrase.
People clicked it more. Seriously.
Way more. Conversion rate jumped to 5.4%. That's a 157% increase.
Get out. Why? Who clicks on that? It sounds like a joke or even a scam.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
The thinking seems to be. Well, a few things. First, maybe the imperfections signals authenticity. In this super polished online world, something rough feels more real. Less like a slick sales machine. There was mention of a Figma rebellion, maybe hinting at this pushback against overly clean corporate design.
Think the humor, maybe?
Yeah.
I need the money. It's just so blunt.
Exactly. It's disarming. Cuts through the usual marketing speak. You kind of think, well, a scammer probably wouldn't be that honest, right? It builds this weird trust, or at least makes you curious enough to click. It's unexpected.
Okay, I can sort of see that. The novelty factor.
Yeah. So the takeaway for you listening is maybe experiment. Try one intentionally bad element in your own marketing. Could be a blooper in a video, a deliberate typo in an email, or, yeah, maybe even a really ugly button.
But isn't there a risk? Couldn't it just look unprofessional or, like you said, scammy? Where do you draw the line?
That's a really good point. Huge caveat there. It probably depends massively on your brand, your audience. What works for one could totally flop for another. But the idea of testing something unexpected, something counterintuitive, that's powerful.
And it's something you could test pretty quickly, right? Doesn't need a massive budget. Just courage to try something weird.
Precisely. A small change, potentially big results. So yeah, wrapping up our deep dive today, we saw boring socks, validating simple ideas first, minimizing risk, super important.
Right. Then AI making income generation way more accessible, like Sarah Kay's books.
And finally, this ugly button thing. How sometimes totally unconventional, even bad marketing can weirdly work.
Okay, so here's your homework based on all this. First, this week, try validating one idea, big or small. Use Reddit, Facebook groups, whatever, like boring socks. Just gauge interest before you dive deep.
Good one. Second, if you do any marketing at all, think about testing that ugly button idea or just one imperfect element, see what happens. And hey, if you try it, let us know. We're genuinely curious about the results.
Definitely. And third, if you want more on side hustles, we put together a side hustle toolbox PDF. Resources, ideas, just DM us the word tools, T-O-L-S, and we'll send it over. Free, of course.
Yep, just send us that keyword.
So as you head into your week, maybe think about this. If mismatched socks can become $1 million business, if an ugly button can boost sales like crazy, what other wrong ideas, what other bits of conventional wisdom might actually be holding you back in business or even just in life? Makes you think, doesn't it?
It really does. Lots to mull over.
Thanks for taking the deep dive with us.